Can an antibiotic treat schizophrenia? This is the subject of a study published 3 months ago, March 2023, in the International Journal of Molecular Sciences. This is really encouraging news. The antibiotic is minocycline. Minocycline has anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. I was on 200 milligrams a day of minocycline for 12 months during the acute phase of my schizophrenia. We'll talk about the recent study on the subject and my experience taking minocycline. Welcome to Surviving Schizophrenia. My name is Steven. I hope you're having a wonderful day.
I'm Steve. Welcome back. So, minocycline for schizophrenia treatment, a promising avenue? We'll start with the background on the connection between schizophrenia and minocycline, and then we'll discuss a study published in the International Journal of Molecular Sciences 3 months ago on March 8th, 2023. We'll wrap it up with a detailed look at Steven's use of minocycline as an adjunctive treatment for psychosis and schizophrenia. And after that, if you don't mind, Steven, can we talk about, this last week's been a tough week. About 7 days ago, you shot a 45-minute video. You were out for lunch on your own, trying to get out. And there was a big problem. That video will never get shown.
No, it won't.
And so can we talk? And it's been a tough week.
It has. We'll definitely talk about that at the end of the video.
Okay, that sounds great. So with the introduction, talking about schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is a debilitating and complex psychiatric disorder. Conventional antipsychotic medication remains the cornerstone treatment for schizophrenia. However, in the quest to find, better treatments or to enhance the treatment effect of the antipsychotics for both the positive and negative symptoms and the cognitive symptoms of schizophrenia, researchers have looked at a number of different elements. And one of those is minocycline. So let's talk about the background on minocycline. Minocycline is a semi-synthetic second-generation tetracycline antibiotic. While it is primarily used to treat bacterial infections, researchers have been intrigued by its additional properties. And minocycline has been found to possess anti-inflammatory and antioxidant and neuroprotective effects. These properties make it a potential candidate for treating various neurological conditions, including schizophrenia.
So as I said, I was on minocycline for a whole year. And what is the connection, though, between minocycline and schizophrenia? Well, the precise etiology of schizophrenia remains elusive. However, there's growing evidence to suggest that inflammation and oxidative stress may play crucial roles in its pathophysiology. Specifically, cytokines, proteins that regulate inflammatory responses, have been found to be elevated in the blood and spinal fluid of individuals with schizophrenia. This has led researchers to explore anti-inflammatory agents, such as minocycline, as potential adjunctive treatments.
So let's talk specifically about the March 2023 meta-analysis. This is a study and a meta-analysis entitled Minocycline as Treatment for Psychiatric and Neurological Conditions, a Systematic Review and Meta-Analysis. Again, published March 9th, 2023, just 3 months ago, in the International Journal of Molecular Sciences. And a number of authors contributed to this study. And the first one is Panizzuti, and that would be Panizzuti et al. This is a large meta-analysis study. It's, again, as Stephen said, it's going to be linked in the description below. So I'll have Stephen, if you would read a portion of the abstract.
For sure. So minocycline has anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and anti-apoptotic, hard to say, properties that explain the renewed interest in its use as an adjunctive treatment for psychiatric and neurological conditions. Following the completion of several new clinical trials using minocycline, we proposed an up-to-date systematic review and meta-analysis of the data available. For most of the conditions included in this review, the data is still limited and difficult to interpret, warranting more well-designed and powered studies. On the other hand, the studies available for schizophrenia seem to suggest an overall benefit, favoring the use of minocycline as an adjunctive treatment.
And we saw that with Stephen. So let me before we get into Stephen's experience with minocycline, which again was during the active phase of his illness, the conclusion to the 2023 meta-analysis states, and I'll read this verbatim, studies in psychiatry suggest an overall benefit of minocycline, especially in schizophrenia, where it seems to act through anti-inflammatory and neurotransmitter pathways to exert its effects. Overall, minocycline appears safe and tolerable for both neurological and psychiatric conditions. More work is needed to improve evidence for definitive conclusions, but minocycline also appears to be a promising candidate for the treatment of psychiatric disorders in particular.
Yeah.
So Stephen's experience with minocycline started in November of 2012. So Stephen fell ill in March of 2012.
Yes.
And we'll put up a chart of his medication. So Stephen was on minocycline, as he said, for a full year during the acute phase of schizophrenia. So schizophrenia has really three phases. One is the prodromal phase, and then there's the acute phase, which is the psychotic phase, the active psychosis, and then the residual phase. So Stephen is in the residual phase now.
Yeah.
He was in the acute phase for about 18 months from the start of so that'd be the start of psychosis to when the psychosis lifted. That was about 18 months. So we're going to put up a medication chart, and this will go through the timing of when Stephen started minocycline and what other antipsychotic drugs he was taking. Because again, minocycline was used, in Stephen's case, we used it as an adjunct to the antipsychotics. Mm-hmm. So Stephen fell ill in March 2012. You'll see on the medication chart, that was the onset of his psychosis. Yeah. In April 2012, the next month, he was put on Seroquel, 100 milligrams a day. Mm-hmm. That's a very small amount of an antipsychotic drug. And this was the first time he was ever on any antipsychotic drugs or any anxiety medication or any medication for depression. There was no other medication prior to this. And the psychiatrist put him on Seroquel, a very small dose, because she was trying to understand and evaluate what he had. He felt ill with psychosis, and she didn't want to just put him on a bunch of antipsychotics prior to understanding his illness. So Stephen then saw a psychologist, and there was a full psychological evaluation performed of him in April. And this was to benefit the psychiatrist and her understanding of what was going on with Stephen and thus what medication to prescribe. Right. So then in May of 2012, right, the next month, Stephen is hospitalized in mid-May at UCLA Resnick Neuropsychiatric Hospital, and he's on Zyprexa. So the psychiatrist had started Zyprexa approximately about a week and a half prior to his hospitalization, early May of 2012. And then following his discharge at the end of May, he was there for 2 weeks, following Stephen's discharge, continued Zyprexa and titrated up, I believe, to about 22.5 milligrams a day. But that wasn't pulling him out of the psychosis. No. And you might know from some other videos that Stephen has shot that the doctors at UCLA, upon his discharge, recommended that if his symptoms did not improve fairly quickly, that he be put on clozapine. Yeah. But we did wait on that. We've covered that in some other videos, but we'll talk about that a little bit more here. So as you see in the medication chart, in July, he's on Abilify. We had switched to Abilify because his Zyprexa wasn't working, and we weren't ready to go to clozapine because of all the potential side effects. So you can see on the medication chart, we stopped the Zyprexa, titrated to Abilify, and by November of 2012, he's still on Abilify, Stephen was, and we started minocycline. And The reason we started minocycline is that both I and the psychiatrist had done research into, what options are available here and what is going on in the brain. And we were concerned that there was an inflammatory, either a disease aspect to this illness, to Stephen's illness, some inflammatory issues in the brain. And of course, he had CT scans and neurological exams, and there was no visible, or what could be determined, there was no visible inflammation. But we were concerned that because of the sudden onset of psychosis, that there was, something, going on in the brain that was going in a destructive manner, in a destructive path. And we wanted to stop that, essentially at all costs, because Stephen was severely ill.
Yeah, it was.
He was in psychosis. So we start in minocycline in November 2012. He's been in psychosis at that point for 9 months. And we're talking full psychosis. Not violent, no violence, but completely out of touch with reality.
I was never violent, but yeah, I was definitely out of touch and not really there.
Right. Didn't understand that he was ill.
No.
And was essentially non-functional. Was here at home when we were taking care of Stephen and trying to get him better. So you can see we started minocycline 200 milligrams a day in November. And then in June of 2013, so this is 7 months later, we started clozapine. So at the time we started clozapine, Stephen had been taking 200 milligrams of minocycline for 7 months. And then, as you'll see, in October 2013, we dropped the minocycline because you can't go really beyond a year with minocycline. There can be some serious adverse effects to minocycline beyond a year, especially at the 200 milligram a day level. That's a lot of antibiotic for an extended period of time. And we had determined that, we would try this for a year. And as I recall, 4 months into the minocycline treatment, prior to using clozapine, we saw an improvement in Stephen's symptoms. And so this is anecdotal evidence, right? Everyone is different, and it's not necessarily cause and effect, right? We're not here trying to say that minocycline was the cause of Stephen's improvement. We can't say that. All we can say is that 4 months or 5 months into the minocycline, while he was still on Abilify, and before he went to clozapine, because clozapine is really the drug that saved his life.
Yes.
That was a significant improvement to clozapine, the major improvement. But we did see a reduction in the negative effects when we started minocycline. And the hypothesis and our hope was that it was having, minocycline has shown to have neuroprotective properties and anti-inflammatory properties. So we were hopeful that, this minocycline treatment would help, what was going on in Stephen's brain,
right,
by reducing inflammation if there was any, and having these neuroprotective properties. So that, so we saw an improvement. I can say it was significant, but not, he was not out of psychosis. But it was an improvement nonetheless. And I do recall, we discussed this with a psychiatrist. I did personally. Maria did as well. And we saw this, in the 4th to 6th month of the minocycline treatment. And then Stephen, again, drops the minocycline in October 2013 and starts clozapine. And titrated up on clozapine. It's still on Abilify. And then you'll see on the medication chart, January 2014, Stephen's on 175 milligrams of clozapine a day and Abilify. And I think it was probably 10 milligrams of Abilify at that point. He's now on 5 milligrams of Abilify and the same 175 of clozapine. And you'll see in the notes, awakening. And that is when Stephen came out of the psychosis and further understood that he was ill.
Yeah.
And it was a huge time for us. But again, if you look at the dates, the psychosis started in March of 2012, and now we're in January 2014. So we're almost 2 years, into this. We're almost 2 years.
Yeah.
So and that's the active state of the schizophrenia, right? The prodromal state for Stephen was maybe 6 months prior to that. And during the prodromal state, we just saw some cognitive issues. The grades were dropping a little bit, a little harder, a little more time to do things, some agitation, but nothing that would say that there's going to be a problem.
No, that happened really fast.
Right. And so so there's no treatment, again, in the prodromal state. So we saw a significant improvement.
So this study is really interesting to me, especially because I did take minocycline for a year 10 years ago. And we did think it improved my health and actually improved my schizophrenia a bit. But I find that absolutely fascinating that like 10 years later, there'll be a study on pretty much what happened with me coming out showing that minocycline may actually help with schizophrenia. I think that's just fascinating. While the current research findings are promising, it's important to emphasize that further large-scale and long-term studies are needed to confirm minocycline's safety and efficiency in treating schizophrenia. Also, there's a need for more research on the best dosage, duration of treatment, and the stages of schizophrenia where the minocycline is most effective.
Right, and that's just to underscore what Stephen has said, is so important. We were really shooting in the dark 10 years ago with the minocycline course. But really, there was no downside. Stephen was so ill, heading up in that ill, we likely would not have gone to minocycline.
Sure.
It was looked on as one of the things you can do if everything else fails. And that's at the time, that's how it was looked on. And of course, everything else didn't fail because we hadn't even tried clozapine, but we were hoping to avoid clozapine. And we tried minocycline. So yeah, it is interesting that
it is.
10 years later, there's been a number of studies. This recent study is a meta-analysis of a lot of other studies, pulling the research together. So it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah. So Stephen, what it's been kind of a tough week this last week.
Yes, it has. So. It all started, like a week ago. I decided in the interest of getting out and doing things outside of the house, I would go record a video. And so I did. I went to Terranea Resort, which is like 10 minutes from our house driving. Beautiful resort. And so I decided to go there and record like a vlog of me getting out. I went and I got like a parfait for lunch. I recorded all this and it was going really well. I had an app on my phone so I could show you what was going on and record myself at the same time.
Right, Stephen, you were doing this alone.
Oh yes, I should have. Yes, I was completely alone. Yeah.
I dropped Stephen. So the backstory is, yes. I dropped, as Stephen said, he wanted to get out on his own. And that's one of the areas that Stephen is trying to try to do more of.
Yeah.
And so the thought was, hey, why don't you go have lunch at Terranea Resort? I'll drop you off. Yeah. It's 5 minutes away from our house. Yeah. Drop you off at the resort. You can walk in, go have some lunch, and shoot a video. And wow.
Yeah. So I did.
45 minutes.
45 minutes, and I was pretty happy with the video. I thought it was good. But then I got home and I actually watched it. It turns out the app I was using, I guess, doesn't have any kind of stability as opposed to when I'm recording with just the regular camera app on my phone. So basically the footage was unusable because it was so choppy.
Right, so just usually when Stephen's out like on a walk and talk, he's using a GoPro.
Yes.
And that has image stabilization.
Or even my phone is fine, just not with this app that was using both cameras.
Well, that's right.
So it was like this.
That's right, because he was using an app that would shoot both cameras at the same time.
Yes.
So it was pretty interesting.
It was really cool. I was showing you like the water there. It's right on the coast. I was showing you everything I was doing while being able to see me at the same time, like both ways. And
right, it was pretty cool because it was a split view.
Yeah.
You could watch Stephen. narrate as he was eating, and then you could see in the other split view, the forward facing. So, but there was no image stabilization.
Not at all.
And it was pretty devastating.
It was. I tried for a good 3 hours after that to try to get image stabilization through my editing software, but then it cropped too much and it still didn't work. Bottom line is, I had to scrap that entire video.
It was an epic fail.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that hurt.
It was demoralizing.
Yeah. And
we can smile about it now.
No, we can now. But
it was
that hurt at the time.
Yeah, this was a week ago. This was a video that, as Steven said, it's 45 minutes long. So he's there for about an hour. And yeah, he worked for 3 hours back here at the house in trying to edit this thing and using software to stabilize the video, but it can never. It was unusable.
It didn't work.
Yeah, there's no way.
None of the video was usable except when I was eating my parfait.
So it was just, it was depressing. It was demoralizing.
And that was the start of the last week being really rough for me. I think that was the thing that just, I guess, triggered it.
It started right because the next day.
The next day, I wasn't doing as well.
But not terrible.
Not terrible, but just not as well. But I want to say it was the day after that.
Yes.
I was very depressed. I was not doing well.
Yeah.
I think it was the stress of, losing this video, because I was so excited for it to go out, combined with just my general depression and anxiety that just made a perfect storm, essentially. And I we had to go for a walk, actually.
Yeah, so before we talk about that real fast.
Yeah.
So the onset of that, because it was Stephen went through a kind of a fairly deep depressive period in the last few days. And it was interesting how that triggered. I wanted Stephen to try to explain that to you, and the best he could, and that's what we're trying to do now. After Stephen shot that 45-minute video, tried to edit for 3 hours. Yeah, he was exhausted. Yes. I was tired. I tried to help Stephen edit a little bit, but I couldn't.
I appreciate it. But
you're welcome.
I couldn't.
I couldn't do anything there to help save it. And it was sad. But it's just part of life, right? As I was telling Stephen, then it's I don't think I think there's only been one other video he's shot that has not been shown.
Yeah.
So it's pretty darn good.
That is.
I said, you're doing awesome. you're hitting 99.9%. So
it's true.
You're not gonna do better than that. It's incredible. But still, it is it was demoralizing and tough, right?
I felt really defeated after that.
Yeah. So it was 2 days later. Yeah. Stephen's then kind of sliding down into this depressive state. 2 days later, we're on our walk, Stephen said, and gosh, we got about 5 minutes out of the house. We had to come back and take an Ativan.
Yeah, which is really helpful for me when I need to calm down, just relax quickly. The Ativan works almost instantly and just relaxes.
Right. It's a small amount under the tongue. It dissolves.
It's very small.
It dissolves almost immediately.
Yeah, it does.
And I guess the effect is felt within 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's very quick.
So it's Ativan is anti-anxiety. It's an anxiety medication, not a medication for depression. No. Stephen takes so it's Ativan as needed. He rarely needs it. It's maybe
I don't need it very often.
Once a month.
Maybe less.
Yeah, maybe less. Sometimes once every 3 months.
Yeah.
So we don't even have very many Ativan pills. But the depression. Anyways, so Stephen's taking Lexapro. Stephen's taking 10 milligrams a day, or no, 5, I believe. 5 milligrams of Lexapro. Lexapro is an antidepressant, so that has been working in tandem with his antipsychotic medications to reduce his depression, and that has worked. He's been on that for about 10 years now.
It's been a long time.
So so you came back though. Yeah. Your options were you were agitated, and your options were to take an Ativan.
When I'm feeling really depressed, my anxiety can come on. When I'm feeling very anxious, my depression can come on. They kind of go hand in hand, for me at least, I've noticed. So I was feeling so depressed that I got really anxious, which is why we came back, took an Ativan, then continued the walk.
Now, how did that look? I can tell you how it looked from a father's standpoint. The anxiety was you weren't crying, it's just like you were just agitated.
Yes.
Is that the best?
It's really hard to explain that feeling. And I don't think I can. but it feels like, I guess it's like you can't handle it almost. Like it's just too much. You're not crying necessarily. I don't cry often, even if I am really depressed. It's like overwhelming, I guess is the right word, to the point where I feel I can't do anything.
Right. So when I see that,
except keep thinking about these thoughts that I'm having, which just makes it worse. And that's why I have to take like an Ativan.
Right. And that's why we started with the walk, and because we have to take action on that. That untreated and just sitting around, that I believe can lead to a psychotic state. I mean, that's kind of where it's going.
I think, given enough time, yeah.
Correct, right. I mean, we're not trying to say this is going to happen overnight, or even within the day or two, but this is something that is a concern. Stephen has not had any psychosis in about 10 years.
Yeah.
So we're in the residual phase, right? There's those 3 phases. We're in the residual phase of schizophrenia. And Stephen has made incredible progress. So we don't want to go back into the psychotic phase.
No, it's...
Right. I mean...
I'm always kind of... It's easy to slip back into massive stress and stuff if I'm not taking care of my symptoms, essentially. If I'm not managing my stress and my depression, my anxiety, things could go south quick. Mm-hmm. But because I do manage it, things don't go south.
Right. I think that's an excellent way to explain it, Stephen. Yeah. I think that is in large part the reason why we've been so successful. Why you've been so successful.
Good support system.
Right. You're compliant with medication.
Well, that's true.
And good support system. Yeah. Those are 2 of the most critical facets are parts of our success in schizophrenia, in dealing with schizophrenia. So yes, came back. We cut the walk short.
Yes.
Took an Ativan because I saw that the walk was not resolving anything. We were only out for about 5 minutes. Turned around.
We made it about a block and a half from the house.
So came back, took an Ativan, and then continued on the walk.
Yes.
Yeah, for about another 30 minutes.
Yes. By that point, I was not doing well, but I was doing a lot better thanks to Ativan, and the combination of the walk as well definitely helped.
That's about 4 days ago. So that 2 days before that, the video, you shot the video about a week ago that never got shown. And then, so then it was this last few days also, you're just today now, it's been day 7 basically.
Yeah.
I've really come out of it, and.
Because the last few days I've just been exhausted. A little on edge and stressed, but exhausted.
Right.
I couldn't record this video till today for that reason. I don't know, just really tired. It took it out of me in every way. And I had to recharge. Oh.
Yeah, well, you're looking great. You're looking great today, Steve.
No, I feel great today. Today I'm way better. Not even close. Maybe not 100% yet, but much better.
And the Stephen and I have spoken just recently also about how you order your thoughts and how you think, right? I mean, thinking positively, it's a tough thing for anybody, but especially schizophrenia. But you can change, right? That's part of the, I mentioned this to you a couple of days ago, Stephen, cognitive behavioral therapy. Now you haven't, that's kind of what we're doing in some sense on these videos. You're thinking positively.
I mean, I've said this is very cathartic in the past doing these videos, and that's probably why, actually, come to think of it. Because it's allowed me to analyze, I guess, my entire history with schizophrenia and work through it. Actually, I have nothing better to say than that. It's allowed me to work through it.
Right, and in doing that, though, also with these videos, is trying to be positive. Yes. Right? Because who's going to want to watch videos where everyone's like, oh, we're doing terrible.
Which is also why when I am really stressed out, I go do something else. So I don't keep dwelling on the negative thoughts. Instead, do something else to make something positive.
Oh, that's excellent, Stephen.
Go watch a comedy. All of a sudden, I'm laughing at what's going on in the show instead of dwelling on my anxiety, for example.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Thank you.
That's brilliant. Hearing you say that, Stephen, that's brilliant. That's
you.
brilliant, and almost.
Oh,
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. That's because you can. I do believe you can change how one thinks.
it's not easy,
No.
but it is doable, I think.
Yeah. So, yeah. That's been quite a week.
Yes,
you
it
know. It was amazing with the minocycline. Coming back to the minocycline, that was in a sense a last ditch effort by us when Stephen didn't know that he was ill, right? So Stephen didn't have anything to say about it. It was just.
Grant also was a minor, so it literally had no say.
Yeah, Stephen was.
Which in this case was very good, I think.
Yeah, probably. I mean, Stephen was 12, 13 years old. We were going to do everything we could to pull Stephen out of this. It had gone on for so long. I knew that, when you fall into psychosis, and again, schizophrenia is the prototypical psychosis. When you fall into psychosis, it doesn't always turn into schizophrenia. And the hope is that if you have a psychotic episode, that it only lasts a few days or a week or so.
Right. The less time, the better.
Right. So I knew I was doing all the research I could do as Stephen fell into psychosis. I knew from the research that I was doing that just what I said, that if it's just a few days, you're pretty much good to go. You come out, you might have some residual symptoms for a little while, but you make a full recovery fairly quickly. But if it lasts any more than a week or so, you got a problem. I mean, you're gonna have a serious problem here potentially.
Yeah.
And so by the time, Stephen was hospitalized at UCLA Resnick Neuropsychiatric Hospital in mid-May 2012, he had been psychotic for about 2.5 months. Yeah. And he was there for 14 days. Stephen was and came out of the hospital fully psychotic.
Yeah.
And we were going to try everything we could. And his psychiatrist, a phenomenal psychiatrist.
Yes, she is amazing.
She's amazing, and she's a great clinician.
Yes.
She teamed with other doctors that had prescribed clozapine, and she was willing to try different things. And we really appreciate that. I think that worked. One thing that I did, I'd like to mention just quickly here, looking back at the medication chart, there was when we titrated off of Zyprexa. This was about a month after leaving the hospital. We before going to Abilify, we basically stopped the antipsychotics for about 2 weeks to see whether it was the antipsychotics that were causing this. I mean, there's this concern that Stephen was straight A student, everything was going great, and then just the crash into psychosis so quickly. So the onset, that prodromal state was really quick, and the fall into psychosis was acute. So we did pull back, and back on the medication chart, there's kind of a gap there, and it was only a 2-week gap.
Yeah.
But Stephen his symptoms exacerbated very quickly, and it was just maybe a 7 or 8 days that we really pulled back. I think we pulled back to like 2 milligrams of Abilify, nothing else.
Because you wanted to know.
Because we wanted to know. We want, and that kind of, we checked the box there on whether it was the medication. Because you can always blame the medication. That's an easy thing to do. Sure. But unfortunately, it's not the medication. So yes, Stephen became much more psychotic quickly. Then we titrated up onto Abilify, went with the adjunct minocycline treatment, and then titrated to clozapine, which turned out to be the miracle drug. That's Stephen's drug. That
is the one.
That is the one. Yeah. So yeah.
Hope you enjoyed this video and learned maybe a lot. I learned stuff from this.
Oh, I did too.
Yeah.
I did too, Stephen. Yeah, it was a fun video to shoot.
Yes.
We had to read some. It was a little bit, we want to obviously put across accurate information.
Of course.
And so some of that includes, of course, some reading of the material. But that's what it is.
So we hope you have a happy and healthy rest of your day. And we hope to see you in the next video.
We'll see you in the next video. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.